She was just a poor girl digging through a dump to survive when she heard a sound that froze her blood, a cry, not of rats, not of dogs, but a baby, abandoned, fragile, shivering in the cold. She picked it up, unaware that the child was never meant to be saved, and that by holding it, she had just uncovered a deadly secret, a secret that tied her life to one of the most powerful families in the city, the billionaire family that had spent 18 years searching for their missing daughter, the daughter, who was standing right there, but had no idea she was the one. Why was the baby left in the dump? Who was watching her from the shadows? And why did someone want her erased from history? Stay with me, because what happens next will leave you questioning everything about fate, blood, and betrayal. Do not blink. You will want to hear every word of this story. The night air was heavy with smoke and rot. The city's dump stretched out like a graveyard of forgotten lives. Broken bottles, shattered dolls, rotten food, crawling with flies. And in the middle of it all, a young girl named Amara searched for scraps of metal to sell. Her stomach growled, but hunger was a familiar friend. She pressed her, hands against the cold, jagged edges of rusted cans. Her skin stung where sharp glass sliced her palms. Then she froze. A sound cut through the silence. Not the scurrying of rats, not the rumble of a distant truck. It was softer, fragile, a cry. Amara's chest tightened. She spun around, eyes darting across the piles of waste. The cry came again, high-pitched and trembling. Her bare feet stumbled forward, crunching over broken debris. She gagged as the stench of rot thickened. And there, half hidden beneath a torn plastic sheet, she saw movement. Her breath caught. It was a baby, wrapped in a filthy blanket, tiny fists shaking against the night air. The child's face was pale, lips trembling. Amara dropped to her knees, scooping the baby into her arms. Its skin was cold. Its eyes, wide and unblinking, stared up at her. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Who would leave a baby here? She pressed the child close, rocking it, whispering softly, though her voice quivered. The baby let out a weak whimper, then clung to her torn shirt as if holding on for life. Amara's heart pounded with terror, and a strange, unfamiliar ache, the ache of recognition. Something about those eyes. They mirrored her own. Dark, deep. A reflection she had never seen outside of cracked mirrors. Her throat tightened as a wave of unease swept over her. She had lived her whole life believing she was abandoned. But in that moment, under the cold gaze of the moon, holding a child that seemed to belong to her blood, a dreadful thought pierced her mind. What if this was not the first time? What if she had been found the same way? And as the night pressed in, unseen eyes seemed to watch her from the shadows of the dump. Silent, patient, waiting. Amara's arms trembled as she clutched the baby tighter. The shadows around her seemed to shift, stretching across the heaps of trash like grasping fingers. The thought would not leave her mind. Had she once been left here too? Her breath quickened. She could almost hear whispers in the wind, words she could not understand. Her heartbeat hammered in her throat. She looked down at the baby again. Its eyes stared back, dark, glassy, and yet strangely familiar. The child's hand curled around her finger. A surge of heat rushed through her chest. It felt like a memory she did not have. Then, a sudden sound, metal clanging in the distance. Amara's head jerked up. Someone was there. A figure moved between the mounds of broken furniture and rusted steel, slow, watching. Her breath hitched, and fear burned in her stomach. She could not run. Not with the baby this small, this fragile. The figure stepped closer, and the faint beam of a flashlight cut through the darkness. The light caught Amara's face. The man froze. She could see his hand shaking as the beam flickered across her. Features, his voice cracked as he whispered into the night. "It cannot be! You are supposed to be dead!" Amara's blood turned to ice. The baby whimpered, as if sensing the danger that hung in the air. She tried to speak, but her throat tightened. Words strangled before they could form. The man lowered the flashlight, but his eyes never left hers. In that moment, Amara realized this stranger did not look at her like a beggar girl from the dump. He looked at her as if she carried a secret that could shatter everything. Amara's fingers tightened around the baby's fragile body. The man's eyes glistened, wide with shock, as if he were staring at a ghost. Her lips finally parted, though her voice shook. "What do you mean?" The man took one shaky step forward, the smell of oil and rust mixed with the sharp scent of his cologne. He whispered again, but this time louder. You are her. The girl who vanished 18 years ago." Amara's chest tightened, every muscle in her body stiff. The wind howled through broken metal sheets, carrying the word vanished like a curse. Her mind swirled. 18 years ago. The same number of years she had lived. Her breath came fast, uneven. "No! I am nobody," she stammered, clutching the baby closer, her nails digging into the thin blanket. The man shook his head, almost desperate. "Your face, your eyes. You belong to them." Amara staggered back, her bare heel pressing against shards of glass. Pain shot through her foot, but she barely felt it. The baby whimpered again, and the sound cut through the silence like a warning bell. The man's gaze flicked to the child. For a heartbeat, something unreadable crossed his face. Then his tone sharpened. "Where did you find that baby?" Amara's stomach twisted. The question felt like a knife pressed against her throat. She whispered, her voice breaking, "Here. Someone left her here." The man's expression hardened. He stepped closer, lowering his voice until it was almost a growl. "Listen to me. If you keep that baby, they will find you." Amara's blood ran cold. The dump seemed to close in around her, suffocating and endless. "Who?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The man looked over his shoulder, scanning the darkness. Then his words dropped like stones into the silence. "The same people who tried to erase you." Amara's knees felt weak, as though the ground beneath. The trash might open and swallow her whole. Erase her. The words clung to her mind like poison. Her grip on the baby tightened until the child whimpered. She whispered softly to calm it. Though her own voice was trembling, the man's flashlight shook in his hands, the beam darting across heaps of twisted metal and broken glass. Every shadow seemed alive. Every corner seemed to breathe. Amara's lips quivered. "Who are you?" The man hesitated, his jaw clenched. Finally, he lowered the light, his face half hidden in the darkness. "I was one of the guards that night. The night you disappeared." Her heartbeat pounded so violently she thought it would break through. "Her ribs." His voice cracked as he continued. "They told us you had been taken, but some of us, we suspected the truth." Amara's skin prickled with cold sweat. Her mind raced, images flashing like broken glass, dark alleys crying in the night, faceless strangers, but no real memory, only emptiness. The man stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "You are not just a girl from the dump. You are the daughter of Lionel Harrington." The name struck her like thunder. Everyone in the city knew it. The billionaire. The man whose towers of glass and steel touched the clouds. The man whose family had lived behind gates, their wealth untouchable, their lives unreachable. Her throat closed. She shook her head violently, clutching the baby tighter. "No, you are wrong. I am no one." The man's eyes softened for a moment, but then he glanced over his shoulder again, scanning the horizon of trash heaps. His whisper was urgent now. You have very little time. If they know you are alive, they will come for you. And that baby, he stopped. The words hung unfinished, heavy with dread. Amara stared at him, her lips trembling. "What about the baby?" she demanded. The man's eyes darkened, his voice dropping into a near growl. "She is not abandoned. She is bait." Amara's breath caught in her chest. Bait. The word struck her harder than any blade. She looked down at the fragile bundle in her arms. The baby's tiny eyes blinked up at her, innocent, unaware of the danger woven into its very presence. Her stomach churned, her voice cracked as she whispered, "Bait for what?" The man's face twisted with unease. He scanned the dump again, as if the shadows themselves were listening. "For you," he said finally, his words sharp and final. Amara's skin prickled with terror. Her throat burned as if the air had turned to fire. The baby squirmed, letting out a soft cry that echoed across the mounds of waste. The sound carried far, too far. The man hissed under his breath. "They will hear it. We must move." Now, but Amara's feet felt like stone. Her mind spun with the impossible truth pressing against her chest. Daughter of Lionel Harrington, missing, hunted. Her entire life, she had believed she was nothing. Yet here she stood, clutching a child that was never meant to survive, being told her own existence was a secret worth killing for. A sudden crack echoed through the night. Not glass, not metal, a gunshot. The sound ripped through the dump, and the baby wailed in terror. Amara dropped to the ground, shielding the infant with her body. The man jerked his head toward the dark ridge of broken machinery. Figures were moving there. Slow, careful, hunting. He grabbed Amara's arm, his grip iron strong. "Do not look back," he growled. "Run. If they catch you, neither of you will live to see the morning." Amara's legs burned as she ran, the baby pressed tightly to her chest. Her breath came in short, sharp bursts, echoing louder than the pounding of her footsteps over broken glass and twisted metal. Behind her, the shadows moved faster. Shouts, the cold crack of another gunshot splitting the night.